There is a saying out here on the plains. If you want to test a man's arrogance, build him a bridge. Because bridges aren't just wood and steel, they're claims of dominion, declarations of control over land that isn't his. Bridges are trespasses that pretend to be progress. I knew that saying by heart the day the HOA rolled their construction rigs onto my wheat fields. Started at dawn. The sound carried before I even saw it. Engines growling, metal clanging, men shouting orders. My wheat was still heavy with dew, the stalks tall, golden, waiting for harvest. Then came the crash of tires flattening rows. A crane loomed over the horizon like a giant arm tearing the sky. And at the center of it all, Karen. She stood there in a neon vest, clipboard in one hand, coffee in the other, directing workers like she was Moses leading her people across the Red Sea. Only she wasn't parting water. She was tearing my land apart. By the time I saddled my horse and rode out, the outlines of the bridge were already marked. Steel beams stacked, foundation holes dug, survey flags planted like battle standards across the wheat. Karen spotted me before I reached the site. She raised a hand, all faux pleasant. "Good morning, neighbor. Don't mind us." The board voted. "We're improving connectivity for the community. A bridge across your ranch will shave 12 minutes off traffic." I pulled the reins, stared down at her from horseback. My voice was flat. "This isn't community land. This is my farm. You're trespassing." Karen smiled the way snakes smile before they strike. "Oh, don't be so possessive. You've got all this space. We only need a slice. You'll hardly notice." "Lady," I said, "you've got less authority out here than a stray chicken." That's when she pulled out a folded paper. "Eminent domain," she declared, shaking it in the air like gospel. The HOA voted unanimously. "You're outnumbered." I didn't even glance at it. Some HOA printout pretending to be law. I knew real deeds. I had them in my safe. And no subdivision covenant held weight against land that had been in my family for 4 generations. But Karen didn't care about deeds. She cared about power plays. And so the bridge went up. For days I watched in fury as machinery carved through my wheat, steel frames rising like scars across the land. The noise was constant, the damage irreversible. Neighbors whispered. Some pitied me. Some cheered quietly for the HOA, glad someone was putting me in my place. Few dared to intervene. They thought this was between me and Karen. They didn't understand yet, because this wasn't just about wheat. This was about sovereignty. This was about war. The breaking point came when Karen brought reporters. She stood in front of cameras, her neon vest gleaming, hair coiffed, grinning like a queen unveiling her castle. "This bridge represents progress," she told them. "It connects our community, reduces commute times, and shows what we can achieve together." Behind her, my wheat lay trampled, brown from exhaust fumes. A backhoe idled where stalks once waved. They shoved a microphone at me. "How do you feel about the bridge?" I leaned forward, every word deliberate. "This isn't a bridge. It's an invasion, and I won't tolerate invaders." Karen laughed on cue, waving me off. "He's just bitter. Change is hard for some people." I said nothing else, just turned my horse and rode away. But in my chest, a storm was gathering. That night, I drove into town, not to lawyers, not to politicians. I went to the armory, because what Karen didn't know, what the HOA could never have guessed, was that my land wasn't just family farmland. It had been designated by the county years ago as part of the Agricultural Defense Reserve. A quiet program, little known, designed to safeguard critical food supplies in times of emergency. That meant one thing. My land had military status, and I had the paperwork to prove it. By dawn, I wasn't a farmer under siege. I was a commander reclaiming territory. The next morning, when the workers arrived, they found fences wired with military signage. Restricted zone. Authorized personnel only. Deputies stood at the entry points, not HOA security, but county deputies, real law. Karen stormed up, clipboard trembling in her hand. "This is harassment. You can't." "I can," I interrupted, holding up the stamped document. Section 47. Agricultural Defense Reserve. This land is a protected zone. Construction is a breach of federal order. Her eyes darted across the page. She didn't understand half the words. She didn't need to. The deputies did. The workers did. And when I gave the order, the machinery went quiet. Engines killed. Tools dropped. Karen shrieked at the foreman. "Keep building!" He shook his head. "Lady, I'm not crossing federal jurisdiction. You want a bridge, you argue it out in court. We're done." And just like that, the army she'd assembled melted. Trucks rolled out. Cranes folded. Men vanished. All that was left was Karen, red-faced, screaming at the wind. And me. I walked to the half-built frame, climbed up onto the steel. The thing loomed over the wheat, ugly, foreign. I placed my boot against it, shoved hard. Bolts groaned. Metal shifted. And with a final heave, the frame toppled, crashing into the dirt in a thunder of steel and dust. Karen gasped like I'd killed her child. "That," I said, brushing off my hands, "is the last bridge you'll ever try to build on my land."